Recently I did multiple videos going through different sets in the Sword and Shield era, which are yet to take off, because let's be honest, there's been some incredible gains already in the Sword and Shield era. I talked about Crown Zenith and how I feel like it's probably going to be one of the best sets that is yet to explode, as it were. I then covered Battle Styles, which to me is the neglected set of the Sword and Shield era. People didn't really care about Battle Styles. It is the cheapest set to pick up right now, and prices are climbing, especially for the big chase card, the Sleeping T-Tar. And then I covered Astral Radiance, which in my opinion is a very, very strong trainer gallery set with some of the best looking alt arts that you can find in the Sword and Shield era, in my opinion, of course. But not only that, it is going to be a very good set because it is a trainer gallery set, so it has that going for it. As we saw Lost Origin booming, we saw Brilliant Stars booming already. Astral Radiance is poised to do the same. But there is another set, there's a trainer gallery set that I haven't yet covered, and that is Silver Tempest, which we'll be talking about today. Silver Tempest does have the Lugia alt art, which is one of the biggest alt arts that you can pull in the whole of the Sword and Shield era. People absolutely love Lugia. Lugia's in my top 6 favorite Pokemon. It's in my team, fantasy team, as it were, of Pokemon. I absolutely love it. It's just a beautiful card and just an amazing Pokemon. Now, Silver Tempest recently had a reprint alongside Lost Origin. I say recently, it's now a few months ago now, and prices are starting to tick up with Silver Tempest. So today we'll be going through the price of the booster box of Silver Tempest and what's been going on with the cards raw and graded, to see what's been going on in Silver Tempest and whether or not you should invest your money in this set. Let's get into it. Okay, starting things off, we are looking at TCG play at the booster box of Silver Tempest. This is actually on the uptick. $161 for Silver Tempest. It is doing pretty well. It's now above MSRP. I don't know if it's sold out on the Pokemon Center website, so you guys will have to let me know. But over here in the UK, you can still pick up a Silver Tempest for about $130 a box. Is still around. It is sold out over here in the UK on the Pokemon Center website, though. I do know that. But yeah, about 130, also very similar to Astral Radiance for Silver Tempest. I think Silver Tempest or any trainer gallery set is definitely worth sinking some money into. I wouldn't go absolutely crazy, but I do feel like it is a pretty good set, even though it is on the uptick, and we'll get to the single cards in a moment. But yeah, the booster boxes are climbing. Pretty much anything trainer gallery I think is going to be good, and that's why I mentioned about Astral Radiance, and now we're talking about Silver Tempest. And again, anything that has an alt art, alt art sets are going to perform very well. We only have very few amount of sets that don't contain alt arts in the Sword and Shield era. Vivid Voyage, Dance Ablaze, Rebel Clash, and Sword and Shield base. I kind of feel like they haven't got the best rooms to grow. They're okay. I mean, Dance Ablaze is kind of weak, but then we got Pokemon Go, right? Pokemon Go has alt arts in it. No one really cares about Pokemon Go, so it's kind of interesting. Not every single set that has an art will do very well, but Silver Tempest is definitely going to be one of those. So as you can see, $161 over the past 3 months. It went from around 125 or so over the past year. You can see what happened, right? It was actually climbing pretty hefty, and then the reprint came, dropped it around that 110, and now it's bounced back up to the highest Silver Tempest has ever been, and I do expect this to climb. I wouldn't be surprised if this hits $200 by the end of the year, maybe even more. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Silver Tempest booster boxes are doing pretty well. Alright, now we're going to look at the set of Silver Tempest and the chase cards. The total value of the master set of Silver Tempest is about $720. So pretty much middle of the road. Even though we got the big boy Lugia, which we're going to get into right now. So big boy Lugia is doing incredibly well. Sitting at $200+. So we got eBay 178, TCG Player 205, Car Market 227. Overall doing pretty well. And then let's look at the PSA 10 price. So over 7,000, nearly 8,000 in a PSA 10. That's actually quite a lot, actually. We're looking at about $400. So about double the value in a PSA 10. And then PSA 9, we're pretty much looking at roughly the same, and then so on and so forth. So a lot of this card has been graded quite a bit. So let's take a look at the graded price first. So we're looking at the graded price for this card. So it was around 300, then it dipped to the lowest at around 260, and now it's back up to over 400. So it's actually done the best over the past 6 months. It's on the climb. We saw this trend actually when we looked at other sets as well in the Sword and Shield era. All the big chase cards in PSA 10 have gained value, like the raw card, over the last few months, which is quite interesting to see moving forward in the future, because this is a big card and there is a lot of it graded, and there's still a lot of Silver Tempest around. So I do expect this card to continue to potentially be graded and drop in value, but we have to wait and see, of course. So let's take a look at the raw price, or the raw average market price, and TCG Player. We saw a bit of a difference between the two we're going to continue that trend. So let's take a look. So pretty much they were neck and neck, intertwined with each other. TCG Player actually dropped a little bit back at the beginning of the year, but then ever since we got to like April, TCG Player just kind of went off on one. So it kind of went from 136 to 205, actually climbed as high as 215, whereas the market price went from the same at like 136 and it's around 178. So TCG Player has kind of overtaken a little bit. Card market is pushing up the average market price. Over here, Lugia, I mean, I've seen prices vary from like 150, 130, 150, so maybe even a little bit more. All depends on condition, of course, with the Lugia. But it is doing well. TCG Player, though, does have the higher inflated prices. Right, next is the Rayquaza, which is the second most expensive card. Dropped massively in price compared to Lugia. If you compare the two, over $200 for Lugia, then the Rayquaza. That's one downside I will say with Silver Tempest, is it's kind of Lugia or bust. Yeah, the Rayquaza is nice. It holds, you know, somewhat decent amount of value, around $30, $40. But the rest of the arts in this set kind of lackluster. So it is kind of Lugia or bust. Whereas something like Lost Origin, at least you have the Aerodactyl. You do have the Pikachu, which is holding pretty well. You know, Brilliant Stars, you have the Big Boy Zard, but then you also have very, very strong performing Trainer Gallery. And then Astral Radiance has them a champ. But then you do start having some of the other arts that are on the uptick. So Silver Tempest and Astral Radiance are quite similar. They have like one real big chase card and then some mediocre-ish other cards in the set as well. So Rayquaza, we're looking at 42 on 43, sorry, on TCG Player, 32 on eBay, 51 on card market. It's quite high on the card market. PSA 10 though, 95, so nearly double in value, or in case of eBay, triple in value, which is actually pretty impressive. And a PSA 9 sitting around 45. Okay, so nearly 3.5 and a 10. That is quite high. So let's take a look at the PSA 10 price. Has this been going up? Yeah, overall it has been going up. I mean, it went from around 58 6 months ago, which was pretty much its lowest, and it's trickled all the way up since. That's pretty good going. So it's not just the alt arts. Some of the Trainer Gallery are actually holding, you know, pretty good value. So let's take a look at the market price with TCG Player. The TCG Player was always above the market price pretty much the majority of the way, and then has just decided to break away over the past few weeks at the beginning of May from $30 a piece, you know, both sides, to then finishing up around 40 odd, and the raw at 32, which is kind of interesting because the card market price is driving up a little bit, but overall the market's holding pretty well compared to TCG Player, which is kind of in a league of its own for the Rayquaza. Right, moving on to the Unknown V, the Alphabet Soup coming in. This is a look. I like the artwork, right? This is a card which hasn't had the best time. eBay, we're looking at $16, TCG Player 32, card market 22, PSA 10 only $80. Not a huge amount actually graded in the 10 compared to some of the other cards we've just looked at, but still, I mean, pretty decent value actually. 80 compared to how much it is raw, actually worth grading. So that's one we could you know, keep an eye on in the future. Right, let's look at the PSA 10 price. So PSA 10 actually dropped into the low 40s and is trickled back up to 80, so it's actually done very well. So he doubled in value over the past 6 months in the PSA 10, so that's a good one to get graded if you do have in your collection. Right, and then the raw price with the TCG Player price, pretty much neck and neck, but then the market price actually was going above TCG Player, and then as you can see, look at the difference in that. You know, we were looking at a $4 to $5 difference most of the time, and in the beginning of the month they just kind of switched, right? The average market price have dropped down to around 16, and TCG Player has gone all the way up now to 32, doubling in value, or more than double in value over the past few weeks. So we have to keep an eye on this Unknown V moving forward, especially on someone like TCG Player. But overall, probably best to get this on someone like eBay. But I just realised, look at that PSA 7 price, $5. Woo. Then we've got the Lugia V-Star Rainbow coming in at 23 eBay, 29 TCG, and 36 card market. PSA 10 coming in at 80. That's not bad for a rainbow. Less than 1,000 graded in a 10 as well. This is a highly playable card, so I do expect that probably does impact the overall value of this card, so keep an eye on that in the future. But this has actually dropped. The PSA price has actually, compared to the others, has actually declined in value from its high of $100, about $20, but still a drop's a drop, dropping by about 20%. Let's take a look at the raw prices. So pretty much neck and neck most of the way. The market price kept going up where TCG Player kind of stayed steady, and then they broke away a little bit, but not on the same scale as we saw with some of the other cards. But yeah, definitely this month in May, TCG Player prices are on the rise, which is quite interesting. And then we got the Gold Lugia V-Star, pretty much similar to the Rainbow. You know, very playable card, but worth a little bit less. We're looking at pretty cheap really, under $20 across the board for this card. Still a gold card. And then we got $50 in a PSA 10, so double, maybe even triple the value in some cases in a PSA 10. Not really breaking the bank that much, around $50. 2,000 though, graded in a PSA 10. Let's take a look at the graded prices, what's been going on, because the rainbow has dropped. This one's pretty much stayed pretty steady, right? Around 50 up to around 55, and is now sat at 48. So it's probably dropped a little bit, but hasn't been that bad. Let's take a look at the raw price. I've been treated on this one. So, okay. So the market price, again, similar to the rainbow, was above TCG Player. Then TCG Player kind of overtook, and then they're pretty level, actually, with TCG Player a little bit less. That's actually quite interesting. That's the first time we've seen that, really, looking at a lot of sets where they're pretty much neck and neck and then falling. But apart from that, if we look at the rest of the set, I mean, you got the Serena coming in at 16. Reggie Draco, one of the old arts as well. Not really a big chase card. I mean, it is a chase card, but not really that expensive. But overall, the rest of the set has weak cards, you know, Skunk Tank as well. There you have it, guys. That is what's going on with Silver Tempest. I do feel like sealed box purposes, it is a great set to invest in. Regarding the single card prices, Lugia, I kind of feel like it's going to keep climbing. We've already seen the Giratina go crazy. We've seen the Gengar go crazy. Blazerkin's on the rise. Pretty much everything with Evolving Skies is on the rise. Charizard from Brilliant Stars on the rise. Lugia is on the rise. I do feel like Lugia is going to do very well. It really is. It's such a big chase card moving forward. PSA prices, though, they're on the rise. If you have any of these, get them graded. Hopefully they come back as 10s because they are going up in value. Downside is, or risk anyway, of any of these single cards, if you've been looking at picking up any of these, is they might drop in value over time. You're not too sure. They might continue to go up. They might just stagnate and stay where they are, but they might also decline. So we've got to keep that in mind. Be careful when you go looking and picking up Lugia at over $200. Got to be careful. Of course, condition is key when looking at picking up cards. But sealed boxes, I do think sealed boxes are a great pickup right now. Anything Trainer Gallery, in my opinion, ranks higher than non-Trainer Gallery sets. In most cases, of course, Rain, Fusion Strike, and Evolving Skies are kind of out on their own type thing. But compared to all the others, I would say that Trainer Gallery overall is very, very good, especially Astral Radiance and Silver Tempest, as we saw Lost Origin, Brilliant Stars already on the climb. These are going up as well. If you made this far to the video, guys, and you've enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button, make sure to subscribe for more Pokemon content, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments regarding Silver Tempest. Is this a set that you are looking to invest in? Have you already picked up some? Let me know. At the moment, I haven't really gone much into Silver Tempest. I have one box. I haven't picked up many of Silver Tempest. My priority has been in other sets, you know, like Lost Origin. But overall, Silver Tempest is very good. Like I say, over here in the UK, they are around about $130 a box. So I might pick one up before they start to trickle up more, and I can add more to my collection. Maybe I might grab maybe 3 to 4 boxes. I probably won't go for the full 6 I usually do for like the sets I really, really like. But I do want the Lugia in my collection, so that might be one where I might just go out and buy it. But overall, this is still a very good, strong performing set, especially now, and will be for the future as well. But if you want to know my thoughts while I talked about Astral Radiance, if you haven't checked out that one, then make sure to click the video on the screen right now. And if you watch more Pokemon content, guys, you want to do, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Alright guys, that is it from me in today's video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, you guys are legends, and I'll see you in the next one.